So, Invincible Season 3, Episode 5 is out now, and there's quite a bit to talk about. Since this is my second upload this week, I may not get quite as in-depth as I have with my previous reviews, but I still think this episode deserved at least a review. So I'm going to start with a spoiler-free review, then I will get into some more spoilery stuff towards the end. If you enjoyed this video or any of my videos on Invincible, make sure to like and subscribe. I will be back with a new video every week reviewing and breaking down each new episode. Alright, let's get into it. So we start the episode with a cute little catch-up with Titan and his daughter before getting into one of the most gross and gruesome scenes this season with Multia trying to escape the prison. I think Multia has been just an absolute beast this season, to the point that it's almost funny to think that he and Kate have the same powers because he uses them so much more effectively than she does. Then we get a touch of their backstory, but honestly I was hoping for a bit more, like the stuff about the origin of their powers, which in the comics is from a Chinese emperor's curse on his enemy, that the 7th generation after his 7th grandchild would have a family too large to care for and it would drive him mad. I don't really know where else they could mention that other than during this scene, so I'll be a little bummed if they just don't include that, but oh well. Then we get this funny scene with the Graysons having breakfast that I really enjoyed and served as an opportunity for great character moments for all of them. Then after another conversation on the Grayson's roof, Eve decides to start Invincible Inc., which was a cool scene and probably my favorite title card drop this season. Then we start to get into the Titan and the Order stuff, which was good, but the episode just spent a lot of time on, but I'll come back to that in just a second. I did really like the scene with Oliver sneaking out to play with kids his age. It's not in the comics, so it was pretty unexpected, and I think it's a really cool moment for his character. Also, fun fact, Robert Kirkman's daughter voices one of Oliver's friends, which is kind of cool. I've seen some people saying they think this scene is a little too out of character for Oliver, or that they're changing Oliver a lot from the comics, and I have a couple thoughts on that. One, I don't think it's a bad thing to make him more likable and relatable. I think he was a little too cold in the comics, in my opinion. And two, I have a theory on why they may be making these changes, but I'll come back to that later in my spoiler section. Anyways, I really enjoyed the scene between Rex and Ray this episode. They're developing their relationship extremely well, and this was such a touching moment for them to have. I'm really excited to see where they take these characters next. Then we spend pretty much the rest of the episode with the Titan and the Order stuff. I like that they brought back Machine Head. I think he's definitely a cool character that the show made a lot more interesting, and I think it was a creative way to bring him back. I liked that Titan demonstrated his scheming skills pretty well, though I think they probably should have made it a little more clear what his actual scheme was and how he achieved it. I know some of my friends and I were a little confused by how it all played out exactly on the first watch. I thought the Mr. Liu prison fight scene was fucking awesome though. Genuinely one of the coolest fight scenes this season in my opinion. Seeing Eve and Mark work together like that was pretty awesome, especially the wrecking ball part. In general, I think the show does a really good job at showing Eve's powers in creative ways. I especially liked the scene where she was putting the multi-pawls in concrete boxes. That was pretty sick. Though, I'm honestly not sure how Paul managed to get a clone out since she made a cube the size of the room and shrunk it down, so like, where was he hiding? Similarly, the scene where Machine Head quote-unquote shoots Mr. Liu is a little confusing as well because it's implied that he shoots him, but when we see him next, he is very much not shot. I think if Machine Head didn't actually shoot him, we probably should have seen that. Also, similar to how I was disappointed to not get the full backstory of Multia, I was a little bummed we got like no mention of Mr. Liu's lore since it's pretty badass, and I think fans would have appreciated him and his character more if we got it. Basically, in the comics, Liu's family was killed by this unstoppable spirit dragon, and the only way he could defeat it was by having sorcerers bind the dragon to him and trap it inside of him. However, if he dies, the dragon is set free again. So he's had to get many cybernetics to stay alive over hundreds of years. Pretty fucking cool, right? Exactly. Now you get what I'm saying. I think if they would have just gone a bit deeper with the lore in this episode, people would have enjoyed it a lot more. Without the lore, fans just saw Invincible get beat up again by some dragon and played a fool by Titan at the same time. There's a couple things from around this point in the comics I wish we could have seen instead of or in addition to the Titan stuff, but I'll get into that with my spoiler talk. Despite this, I still enjoyed the episode quite a bit. It was nice actually getting to see the Order in full, including some of the characters from the comics. And the moment with Debbie and Mark at the end of the episode is pretty sweet as well. I definitely don't think this was a filler episode like some fans are claiming, but I think when all is said and done, it will probably be the weakest of the season. Not even because it's a bad episode, because it really is not a bad episode at all, in my opinion. This season has just been great so far, and what's about to come is going to be absolutely gnarly. All right. Now I'm going to get into some spoiler stuff, so if you don't want anything for the remainder of Season 3 spoiled for you, or anything from the comics spoiled for you, I would just go ahead and stop watching now. Okay, nerds, I wanted to include this in the spoiler section just in case they do end up adapting it, but I kind of feel like we could have gotten both the Wolfman stuff and the Amber abuse storyline in this episode and still gotten a lot of the Titan stuff as well, even if we just got one or the other. I just felt like the episode needed a little bit more eventfulness in it. I think in general, I probably would have just preferred to see the Wolfman stuff over the Titan stuff because the Wolfman stuff involves Cecil, the Giant, Reaniman, the new Guardians, and a badass new hero that could have helped with the themes of morality. However, I understand there's probably a rights thing with Wolfman, and I get that it probably makes more sense to give the episode to a story that has already been set up in the show. I just feel like they probably could have shrunk it down a bit and combined it with Wolfman or Amber's story. Anyways, my theory on why they're changing Oliver is pretty simple. I think they're going to make the bond between Oliver and Debbie much stronger than in the comics, so Oliver can be kind of used to get Mr. Nolan and Debbie back together next season, since I don't think they'll be able to get back together as easily as they did in the comics because Omni-Man's massacre was a lot more brutal in the show. This connection with Oliver would also be a way to keep Debbie relevant for longer, since she kind of just becomes a lot less relevant over time in the comics, but who knows, maybe I'm completely off with that. I'm a little forward on predictions after my previous video, which you should check out, but since we got a few more images released, I'll tack on a couple. First, it looks like I was right about the Oliver and Elephant scene, so just kidding. We also got a pic of Powerplex, nice, and a picture of Mark and Eve in black funeral attire carrying a car. This puzzled me a bit until we got the little teaser for episode 6 where we also see Debbie and Oliver in funeral-like attire next to this thing with a lot of names on it. So here's my prediction. There's going to be an unveiling of some sorts of a memorial in Chicago for the victims of Omni-Man and Invincible's fight, and this is where Powerplex first attacks or where we first meet him. Hence Debbie saying that man is unwell and the attire. I'm guessing in this picture, Mark is carrying Debbie's car. We also got this little look at Eve and Mark and Oliver hanging out, which is cute. Okay, that is all the predictions I've gotten me. That will do it for us today. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, as I will be back every week with more Invincible content. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Peace.
The Nerd Authorities. The Nerd Authorities.